Welcome to the workshop. Today, I'm going to show you how you can turn Claude or ChatGPT into your marketing analyst, not just this data bot. I'm talking about a senior level marketing analyst, the kind that can take vague questions, run detailed reports, analyze the results, spot anomalies, and make strategic and tactical recommendations to you. You don't have to be a coder to do this, but there are some key inputs that are kind of essential to get this set up. So we're going to definitely cover those. All right, so I'm going to spend a lot of time showing you how this works, but there are a few things that you need to know first to fully get the power of AI analytics. So let's go through those. Here's the plan for this workshop. First, we're going to look at a few of the core problems with marketing analytics. If you don't solve these before you bring in AI, then your AI won't be able to give you accurate or reliable analysis. Full stop. Second, we're going to look at what AI can and can't do with analytics. This will help you avoid the big mistakes and dead ends that most people fall into with this. Then I'm going to show you the fix. I'll show you what data-driven marketing and growth actually looks like and how you can do it yourself with your data in your business. Before we start, if this is your first time meeting me, hey, I'm Keith Perhac. I'm the founder and CEO of SegMetrics. For the past 10 plus years, we've helped thousands of businesses, creators, coaches, course sellers, agencies, SaaS, e-com, all of them figure out what parts of their marketing are actually making money and which parts are just quietly burning cash. Before SegMetrics, we ran a conversion rate optimization agency, which means I spent years doing this analysis by hand for exactly the kind of business that you're probably running. So here's a question that drives marketers crazy. How many sales did we get from ads? So you check. Facebook ads says you got 57, Google says 32, but Stripe only says 24 sales. So what the heck's going on? This is the problem with marketing analytics in a nutshell. Every tool you use shares some, but not all, of the numbers with you. But the problem is because they're only sharing some of the numbers, those numbers rarely, if ever, line up with what the other tools are saying. Every tool is also trying to take credit for as much as they can. If a customer even partially scrolls past a Facebook ad while looking the other way, Facebook will take credit. The same thing with Google. And Facebook and Google know their numbers don't have to reconcile with each other or your payment processor. So Facebook will take credit for sales from customers who originally came in from a Google ad. And Google will take credit for sales even if the customer originally came in from a Facebook ad. It's in their best interest to take as much credit as possible and to make it as hard as possible for you to find out what's actually going on. Just stop and think about all of this for 1 second. Since your marketing tools don't have to reconcile with each other, since platforms have short attribution windows and can't accurately measure lifetime value, since each tool only sees this tiny sliver of the full picture, it means it's nearly impossible to know which tactics are actually driving revenue for your business. This is why it's so important to have good tracking for your marketing. Most businesses skip this step, and then they wonder why they have no idea if their marketing is actually working or not. And AI is not going to solve this problem for you. So what does good tracking actually look like? Good tracking checks the box on 6 critical elements. 1, single source of truth. That means you have all your data in one place, not 5 different dashboards telling you 5 different stories. One system that connects everything, brings in all that data, normalizes it, and organizes it all. Number 2, 100% transparent and verifiable. You're not trusting black box algorithms like Facebook Ad Manager. If the system says you had 5 sales, you can see who those 5 people were, where they came from, what they did, and what they bought. And you would be able to check the work. That's what tells you that the data is real. Number 3, cross-platform tracking. Say your customer sees your Instagram post, gets your email, clicks a Facebook ad, and finally converts. With cross-platform tracking, you can see the whole story, not just what one platform wants to take credit for. Number 4, cross-device tracking. People bounce between their phone, their laptop, their iPad, and you need to be able to track the person, not just the device, so you don't end up double counting people. 5, full funnel tracking. The customer journey happens over time, from the first time someone hears about you and the moment they buy and beyond. Your analytics needs to be able to follow this full journey, not just for the first or last click. And lastly, number 6, lifetime attribution. This is the big one. Not just what did this ad make me in the first 30 days, but what is that customer worth over their lifetime, traced all the way back to the ad that brought them in. That's the number that tells you what's actually worth scaling. All of these together is what real attribution looks like. And any AI marketing analysis you do won't be trustworthy unless you're starting with this foundation in place. If you want to know more about how to turn on this kind of tracking in your business, I'll put a link to a free strategy call below this video. We're happy to talk through your marketing challenges and make some recommendations on how to improve your tracking and analytics. Now that you have the core of marketing analytics in mind, let's look at AI. Anyone can open Claude and ask it marketing questions, and you'll get an answer. But be honest about what that answer is. It's high-level best practices that have rarely nothing to do with what's actually happening in your business. And you have to be careful here because nobody fails with confidence quite like AI. And it's not just that AI is wrong. It's important to see why AI usually fails at analytics. Once you kind of see how AI fails, the fix becomes obvious. So here's how AI analytics typically works. You export a giant CSV from your CRM, you paste it into Claude or ChatGPT, and you ask it a question. And the AI gives you a super clean, confident answer. But what it doesn't mention is that it most of the time didn't read your full file. It just read the top of it. It read a handful of rows. It extrapolated a bunch. Maybe it made some guesses. And this stuff happens all the time. So here's an example of me catching Claude with this, right? We had done some analysis on our onboarding flow. I uploaded 2,300 rows of data and asked Claude, hey, can you analyze these? I had already normalized a lot of the data, so I had done a lot of the work for it already. And all I was doing was I asked Claude to go through and tell me, how long does it take on average for people to do these things? What are the holes? And it went to work and gave me this super cool looking detailed report. It was absolutely beautiful. But because I knew the data pretty well, I looked at it and my kind of spider sense started tingling. And I said, this seems off. Something feels really weird here. And for example, Claude had mentioned n equals 35, right? We had 35 of these things. But I asked it to verify. I was like, can you just check and make sure? Like, that doesn't sound right. And Claude was like, oh, you're right. I only grabbed 4 rows instead of the 2,300 rows that you had pasted in. 4 out of 2,300. Oops. So the takeaway here, AI is lazy. It just skipped most of the data and said, you know what? I can probably extrapolate from that. Not great. But I didn't stop there. I pushed Claude a little further. And as it went back to work, it was like, you know what? 2,300 rows, that's gonna take a while. Let me find a shortcut. Then it only did 488. And this is after I had already chastised it for being lazy, but it's still missing most of the data. There's this whole middle section that it skipped. So the AI and I went back and forth on this a lot. The only reason I caught this was because I knew my data ahead of time. I knew what I was expecting to see here. Most of the numbers looked absolutely correct, but there was just this one that was obviously weird, right? That was obviously wrong, and that's what triggered it. And what's super scary here is that if I didn't know my numbers better, I would have never noticed that the answer was wrong. And so you can't just take AI's word that the answers are going to be correct because it will lie to you. Okay, fail number 2. If you don't have a single source of truth for your marketing data, then your marketing data is messy. We talked about this. The same customer is going to show up as multiple contacts across your tools. Say you're using Stripe, Kit, High-Level, Meta Ads, Google Ads, ActiveCampaign. Each tool tracks users differently. If you're downloading all that data, you're going to have duplicates, possibly a lot of duplicates. And you can't rely on AI to sort this out. Remember that AI is a guessing machine that chokes on big data. The messy truth here is that your data will have date ranges that aren't going to line up. Platforms that name things differently, different currencies, different tracking conventions, different attribution ideas. A human analyst would manually go in and untangle all this before they started crunching the numbers. But AI, it doesn't untangle, right? It can't or won't, or it's just too lazy. So instead, it's going to run through those GPU cycles, burn all those tokens, add up numbers, and give you something that looks completely right. But it's probably not even correlated because it can't create any of those connections on its own. In order to get good data out of the AI, you have to have clean, normalized data in a single source of truth. And that has to be done before you put it into the AI. Fail number 3, AI has no funnel optimization methodology. So Claude and ChatGPT and all these AIs are large language models. That means that they're inference machines. They take your question and then they calculate the average response. Word by word, they're inferring the most likely thing to say next. And that means that out of the box, your AI doesn't have good reference or a proven methodology of how to answer any of these questions. Yeah, you can download skills and train it, and we're going to touch on that today. But if you just ask AI, what should I do on this website? Or how is this website performing? That's essentially like doing a Google search, right? And then taking those answers, the average of all those results, and then condensing the answer. And that's not how you get good advice. When you use AI, you need to be conscious of the skills and the memories and the instructions and the data that the AI is going to use to answer your question. Remember, Claude doesn't know what a healthy cost per acquisition like, and it certainly doesn't know what that means for your business. ChatGPT doesn't know what funnel stages matter most to your conversions, how to segment your users, or what's relevant follow-up questions to ask. And this is what a real human analyst does. They know where to look and what to ask after they get the initial data. And right now, AI can't do that on its own. Fail number 4. This is the report Claude created for me earlier when I was asking how my onboarding was going. And this looks slick. It's super cool. If you look at this, you might say, okay, so the median's 8 minutes. Now I understand how long it takes people to get in and seat up their account and get started. Except this was all just bunk. The data was all wrong. It looks right. It looks super right. And if you didn't know any better, you might take this data and start building goals and tactics around it. And the kicker is that Claude didn't even know this was wrong. Even when the answer sounds brilliant, there's no source, no report, no way to verify it short of doing all the work yourself again. So you're basically right back to trusting another black box, which is the whole thing that analytics was supposed to get you out of. Bottom line, the core challenges with using AI for analytics. 1, AI chokes on big data. 2, AI can't connect your data across different tools. 3, AI has no optimization methodology. And 4, AI can't verify itself and makes it damn hard for you to do it. 4 problems. Now let me show you how to fix all 4. I'll just say it plainly. I think the answer is SegMetrics MCP Server. The principle here matters more than the brand. So here's the core idea. Get data you can trust. Full, complete, verified data. Then connect it to an AI you can instruct and give that AI the skills you know what to do with the data. That's the whole recipe. The SegMetrics MCP Server does all of this automatically and makes it simple, fast, and usable right out of the box. So let me talk about how we've built it. The SegMetrics MCP Server, in plain English, is a live, read-only connection between your AI and your SegMetrics account. That's it. You don't upload anything. You don't have to paste a CSV. You don't have to install or manage any skills. You don't have to use Claude Code or anything like that. Instead, once your SegMetrics MCP is turned on, you just ask Claude a question about your marketing. Claude runs an actual report inside SegMetrics. SegMetrics hands back real, clean, verified data from SegMetrics, from your data, and then, only then, does Claude analyze it. And it uses our funnel optimization methodology and then tells you what the data is and what it means. So look at what that fixes. That whole toss a giant CSV edit problem is gone because there's no CSV. This queries live data the same way that you would in the system. The whole doesn't understand your business problem, gone, because the data is already normalized and the MCP server contains the methodology. Basically, we've baked our analytics experience into that MCP server. And finally, what should I actually do? That's the part the analyst layer answers. So you connect your SegMetrics account, you connect Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever AI you use. And now every single question runs with data that you can trust, with those analysts' instincts right on top. One of the keys here is that the AI is not crunching all the data. The AI is using the servers to create the report in SegMetrics that's going to answer the question. And then it's reading that answer and analyzing that. So it takes out the math and just relies on the instinct and the methodology, which it is good at. Okay, so I'm in Claude. I have the SegMetrics MCP server connected to our demo account. And I'm going to start with a basic marketing question. How many sales did I get from ads last week? I may pause this demo to explain as we go, but let's send this question into Claude. Okay, so Claude is using the MCP server to pull a report inside SegMetrics, and that delivers the data. And then Claude explains the results. Plus, every response from Claude includes a link to that source report. So let's check that out. View report, open the link, and boom, there's the actual report with all the filters and dimensions that have been applied. What's great about the MCP server is that you can have a conversation with your data. Just ask a follow-up question and you'll get additional detail. Here we went from total ad sales to the customer's revenue and spend by ad. Also, because of the funnel optimization methodology that's baked into the SegMetrics MCP server, you don't get just the raw data. You'll also get insights about the data, just like you would from a human analyst. You can see the AI is going beyond the surface level question to point out which ad is profitable. And as before, we can click through to see the actual report inside SegMetrics. Every single thing is verifiable. Let's keep going and dig a little bit deeper into this data. Sometimes you have a hunch about your data, but don't know exactly what to look for. So let's see how the AI and MCP server handle broad phishing type questions. Right off the bat, we see it thinking like an analyst, calling out potential data issues. In this case, it's a small sample size in our demo data. Then it displays the data that it does have. This is super interesting. Finally, more observations about this data. Good insights here, right? And a recommendation on how to improve this analysis using a larger window of time. And as always, we can keep clicking into that report inside SegMetrics and then edit those reports. This is all fully transparent stuff. Let's take the AI's recommendation here and expand the time window. You can see how fast the MCP server is. No pulling reports yourself, no building dashboards, no waiting for your data lead to just get back to you. Just ask the question and then we get the answer. Here we can see how the SegMetrics MCP server helps us better understand our audience, who's responding to our ads and where. We can use this info to craft better, more targeted ads. And there are links to all the reports as usual. So using the SegMetrics MCP server is honestly like having a senior data analyst on call 24/7 right there. Now that you understand the basic flow, let me show you something more advanced. So first, if anyone remembers Zapier, and you should because most of us still use it, Zapier's whole promise was that it would allow non-developers to connect different systems together. And it kind of fulfilled that promise, but Zapier is still difficult. It's still a technical product. And what's really cool is what MCP servers allow you to do is remove the whole tech part of connecting different tools. Basically, you replace that tech part with AI. Now you can connect different systems together and then have AI stitch the data together. One of the examples I use a lot, I'll be looking at the marketing pages that are bringing in the most leads and the most valuable leads for SegMetrics, right? And then I'll see which of those pages I want to focus on. Then I'll ask Claude to go look at those pages. First, identify them. What are the pages I need to look at? Then go into my Ahrefs account and say, hey, Claude, go into Ahrefs. Find the keywords on these pages are ranking for or what they're not ranking for. What do they need to rank for? Give me some ideas on what to do. And then go scrape the data from my marketing site on WordPress and say, okay, these are the keywords you need to be ranking for these pages. These are the ones you are ranking for now. These are the ones you're not ranking for yet. And here's how you should change the copy. And then if you're really advanced and have connected everything, you can go say, go ahead and make those changes to my WordPress site. So that would allow me to say whenever I wanted, go find my best performing pages connected by that actual real revenue. What can I do to optimize them? Go optimize them. And then I'm done. That's a lot of work to do by hand. And it's something that AI can just do automatically when led correctly. Let me show you a workflow like this in action. I pre-recorded this part because Claude is slow. The whole thing took about 10 to 15 minutes of processing, and I don't want you to have to sit through that in real time on this workshop. The real workflow when you go use AI is go do this, tell me when you're done. But I'll play the sped up recording and talk you through it. In this case, we were specifically looking at our Calendly, Grain, and SegMetrics accounts. We use Calendly for all of our demo bookings. We use Grain for all of our transcripts, and of course, we use SegMetrics for all of our data. So one of the things we're looking at here, I want to go through all of my Calendlys, and then I want to find whether SegMetrics can answer and solve the problems these demos calls had. So I just asked it. And you can see here, it's grabbing all that information from Calendly. It doesn't see the testing, so it's going to go in there and find it. Yep, there it is. All right. So we've got Alexander Smith coming in here, and it's going to search Grain for the transcript. It pulls the transcript from Grain, and because this is a demo, it says it's actually Madison on the call. That is correct. And then we pull together her transcript. And we pull together what she was asking for, what she needs to do, what she's talking about her webinar, and here's all the information about what she wants to have. So here's all the data we pull together based on platform, based on ad spend, based on customers and revenue and all this stuff, right? And then we put it all together. So how does SegMetrics fix what's broken? We can show her exactly how this is going to fix what she needs to do and to set it up. And now we have a complete plan of what she needs to do to get SegMetrics running for her. And this is honestly my favorite part, actually. So with SegMetrics MCP Server, anytime your AI gives you an answer, it's going to give you a link to the report. And then you can drill straight down, like you would in any SegMetrics account, to the individual purchases, the individual people, and those individual customer journeys. So any of these numbers you look at, and you can pull up live and see straight into SegMetrics. There's no more black box data here. And notice one thing it did here, and I'm going to pause real quick because I think this is impressive. It not only broke it down by the ad performance for that webinar, but it also, because of the training and the optimization methodology we baked into the server, it knew, okay, usually we want to look at the webinar, but we also want to look at how the webinar compares to our standard overarching report. So this is how our ads are performing overall compared to the webinar. And when we look at that, we can see what the ROAS of the webinar is versus the overarching ROAS. And the same thing here. We can pull that up and look at the report. What this lets us do is set expectations about how well any single marketing thing is doing, and we didn't even have to think about it. Again, I'm going to pause real quick. This is one of the important things. You don't have to keep coming up with these questions. It's trained, and the work we've done on the back end makes it so that it's always asking additional questions, always additional marketing questions. It's never just going to give you a single answer. It's going to give you that answer, and then it's going to say, in the broader context, or if you break it down by segment, or these types of people perform in these sorts of ways. And that's what gives you that next step into how you can improve your marketing. So it's so much more than just a reporting tool. It's really an optimization tool. Here's another question I wanted to ask. Did any of the contacts attributed to the ads actually register for the webinar? Because we want to know, yes, did they come in for the webinar, but what did they do? Can we cross-funnel attribution there? And it pulls it up. And then it starts flagging things. Look at this. Things worth flagging before reading this as a clean story. So we can see how many people actually attended. We can see which webinars we had other tags for. And it's identifying problems with our tagging that we may not have noticed. And it's flagging people that never attended the webinar, but still purchased. These kind of things are the things that we're looking at here. There are so many pieces of the marketing that it's hard to keep in mind all the time. And this is where I think AI shines. It's taking this bucket of stuff and starting to pull on threads, right? Pulling on threads is very time consuming, and AI can just do it in the background, do it at scale, and do all this stuff and then bring it to you when you need to make those business decisions about what you're actually doing. But that whole grunt work of, that's strange, and looking at numbers for hours, we're able to train the MCP server and make it look for those things every single time. Every time it's looking for those little threads to tug on. This is the same type of work we always did at the agency. My whole job was, okay, here's a big piece of funnel. Here are the weird holes in that funnel. What's good or bad about them? What are the subsegments? What are the little things that make me go, what was that? And then start picking on those little threads. And now AI, through the training and the skill set we've built, is able to come on and just do that. And that's just fascinating to me. So here's my offer to you. SegMetrics comes with a 14-day free trial. That means you can set it up today, pull in all your historical data from all your marketing tools, and start using it inside your AI tool of choice. It's not unusual for new clients to discover they've been wasting thousands of dollars or more on channels that never actually converted. And that's a great question you can ask right now in the MCP server. What marketing efforts are delivering the least results? And what marketing efforts drive the highest boost in lifetime value? There's no coding required. There's no data science. There's no CSVs or uploads. You don't even need dashboards anymore. SegMetrics tells you exactly what's working, which you can double down on, and what's not working, which you can stop wasting all that time and money on, right? All the data you need to get unstuck and grow your business is right there. And then AI makes it obvious to you. I'll include a link to start your 14-day free trial below this video. So what do you want to know about your business? We've been running the SegMetrics MCP server in alpha and beta for months before making it fully public. These are just a few of the sample prompts of what people want to know. They're all questions you want to ask, but really don't have the time or the data science skills to really dive in and answer. And you know what? SegMetrics can now answer them for you in real time. It shows you the data and explains what it means for your business. And this is what's fascinating to me. I just love this stuff. We ran the optimization agency for a long time. One of the reasons we built SegMetrics was to solve the problem of all this grunt work of getting the data out of the systems, out of Stripe and Infusionsoft and Google and Facebook and Reddit and all that stuff, and then cross-compiling it, normalizing it, making it easy to read. I mean, we built SegMetrics because that was such a pain in the butt, and we wanted a way to do it smoothly. But there's another hurdle. right? Going through all this data, looking for those outliers, and one by one, trying to identify what's going on is a pain. This is why most teams don't make data-driven decisions, even when they have access to the data. It takes a lot of time to do the analysis. But now with the SegMetrics MCP Server, we have a system that's really good at looking at outliers, really good at identifying what is and isn't working. And then, because of the systems we've built internally, tugging on those little threads and starting to do secondary queries and third questions and to find those hidden profit opportunities and money pits. And this is where rapid growth starts. Thank you so much for checking out this workshop. If you have any questions, we would love to answer them. You can book a free strategy call and we'll help you figure out how you can apply any of this to your business. I'm going to include the link below. You can also start a 14-day free trial. We'll help you get set up fast so you can start using the SegMetrics MCP Server to answer all of your marketing questions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.